Today, we're diving into one of the most audacious, most legendary prison breaks in all of history. It's a story packed with incredible ingenuity, unbelievable daring, and a mystery that honestly still captivates us more than half a century later. The Great Escape from Alcatraz in 1962.
I mean, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Alcatraz, the Rock, was more than a prison. It was a fortress, sitting on an island, surrounded by freezing, treacherous currents. It was built to be the end of the line, but for 3 inmates, it wasn't an end. It was just a challenge they were determined to beat.
So let's go back. Picture it. June 12, 1962. It's just another morning inside America's toughest federal prison. Guards are starting their routine morning head count. But on this morning, something is very, very wrong.
When the guards peered into the cells of Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin, they didn't see sleeping inmates. Nope. They found these carefully crafted dummy heads tucked into their beds. The men were gone. Just vanished. Panic erupted. The inescapable had been escaped, kicking off one of the biggest manhunts in American history. But the real story, the amazing part, started with what they left behind.
So, how in the world did they pull it off? Well, this wasn't some spur-of-the-moment idea. Oh no, this was a meticulous, patient, and unbelievably creative plan. Something they worked on for months, right under the noses of the guards, under constant surveillance. Okay, so let's walk through their master plan. It was brilliant. It was all about buying time. So first, step 1, they had to fool the night guards with these super realistic decoys. Then, using tools they made themselves, they literally had to dig their way out of their concrete cells. And finally, if they made it that far, they had to build something, anything, to get them across the bay. Every single step was just a masterpiece of resourcefulness.
And this is where their ingenuity just goes to a whole other level. Those decoys, they were made from soap, toilet paper, and plaster, and topped with real human hair they snagged from the prison barbershop. Unbelievable. Their drill, they built it from a stolen vacuum cleaner motor. Their digging tools, just spoons they stole from the mess hall and sharpened. And for the grand finale, their escape raft, they painstakingly stitched and glued together more than 50 raincoats to make an inflatable boat.
So after all those months of secret, dangerous work, the night finally came. They slipped through the holes they'd carved, crawled through these dark, narrow utility corridors, and somehow made it to the island shore. But they weren't free yet, not even close. Their biggest obstacle, the most dangerous part of the whole plan, was still waiting for them: the unforgiving waters of the San Francisco Bay.
Everything, every minute of planning, every risk they took, it all came down to this moment. An inflatable raft made of raincoats, with paddles they carved out of wood. They pushed off into the bay's notoriously violent currents, the very thing that was supposed to make escape completely impossible. This was it, a desperate, all-or-nothing gamble against Mother Nature. And this is where a daring escape turns into an enduring legend. The men just disappeared into the night. Of course, a massive investigation was launched, but it's what the authorities didn't find that has kept this story alive for all these years.
You basically have 2 competing stories here. The official FBI conclusion: the men drowned. Their homemade raft probably failed in the freezing water, and they never made it to land. Case closed. But then there's the legend. The story that says they made it, that they reached the shore, vanished, and pulled off the perfect escape.
And here it is, the one crucial fact that fuels the entire mystery. 0. That's the number of bodies that were ever found. Despite one of the biggest manhunts you can imagine, no remains were ever definitively linked to any of the 3 men. And with no bodies, you have no definitive proof. That one stubborn fact keeps the legend alive.
Which brings us right back to the ultimate question. Was this an incredible, audacious plan that ended in a tragic failure in the dark, cold waters of the bay? Or was it a legendary success? The one and only escape from Alcatraz, where the men were never seen again. The official file might be closed, but for the rest of us, the debate is far from over. So, what do you think happened?